The quote, "Never seek revenge. Rotten fruit will fall by itself," is a powerful reminder that energy spent on retaliation is often energy wasted. Instead of stooping to the level of those who hurt us, focusing on our own growth often leads to a much more satisfying and natural resolution. The story of Steve Jobs and his exile from Apple. The Great Betrayal. In 1985, Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, was pushed out of his own company. After a long power struggle with CEO John Sculley, a man Jobs himself had recruited, the board of directors sided with Sculley. Jobs was stripped of his duties and essentially forced to resign. He was publicly humiliated and devastated. He could have spent the next decade in lawsuits, bitter interviews, or trying to sabotage Apple's suppliers. Focus over friction. Instead of seeking revenge, Jobs chose to walk away and plant a new garden. He used his resources to found Next, a computer company focused on higher education and workstations. Acquire Pixar. He invested in a small, struggling digital animation studio that would eventually change the film industry forever. During this time, Jobs didn't focus on Apple's downfall. He focused on his own craft, his vision, and his leadership style. He became a better, more mature version of himself. The rotten fruit falls. While Jobs was building masterpieces like Toy Story and the next operating system, Apple began to rot from within. Without a clear vision, the company released a string of failed products, saw its market share collapse, ran into massive financial trouble, coming within 90 days of total bankruptcy. The leadership that had ousted Jobs had proven they couldn't sustain the company. The fruit of their management had become rotten, and the company was falling apart by its own weight. The full circle. In 1996, in a desperate move to save the company, Apple bought Jobs' company, Next, for its software. Jobs returned to Apple, not by forcing his way back in through a hostile takeover or revenge plot, but because he was the only one who could save it. Jobs didn't have to fire his old enemies. Most of them had already been replaced or left due to the company's failures. He simply stepped back into the leadership role and led Apple to become the most valuable company in the world. The takeaway: if Steve Jobs had spent his energy trying to get back at John Sculley or the Apple board in 1985, he likely would have ended up a bitter footnote in tech history. Because he let the rotten fruit fall on its own timeline, he returned with more power and a better legacy than he ever could have gained through revenge. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Steve Jobs.